Hello, welcome to another video, and this is Algebra 1, Chapter 2, Solving Compound Inequalities, and let's just dive straight in. So, a compound inequality is an inequality formed by joining two inequalities with the word and or the word or. The graph of a compound inequality with and is the intersection of the graphs of the inequalities. The graph shows the numbers that are solutions of both inequalities. So if you look here, the two inequalities we have are x is greater than or equal to 2 and x is less than 5. So x is greater than or equal to 2 is graphed here. And then x is less than 5 is graphed here. And the region where they intersect is graphed over here. And the graph of a compound inequality with the word or is the union of the graphs of the inequalities. The graph shows numbers that are solutions of either inequality. So or would be used when they do not intersect. So the two inequalities we have here are x is less than or equal to -2, which is graphed here. And then we have x is greater than 1, which is graphed over here. And then when they're graphed together, they do not intersect on the number line. So it's an or situation. So it's x is less than or equal to, y is less than or equal to -2, or y is greater than 1. Here, we just have a couple of examples. So we have to write each sentence as an inequality and graph each inequality. So the first one is a number x, so x is our variable here, is greater than -8. So let's just write this out. X is greater than -8 and less than or equal to 4. So it's and. So that means the graphs will intersect. And x is less than or equal to 4. So what I like to do here is figure out what x is greater than. And I put that at the left end of my compound inequality. And then x would be greater than -8. So you're literally just flipping this inequality just around to make it an and situation. And then x is less than or equal to -4 over here, so we just add on this little part over here. Now, when you graph this, it's gonna look something like this. Since x is greater than -8, not greater than or equal to, it's just greater than, it's gonna be a open dot. And then since it's less than or equal to 4, it's gonna be a closed dot at 4. And then the region within will just be like shaded or drawn a line over on the number line. And then our next one is a number is at most 0 or at least 2. So when it's at most 0, it can be anything less than 0 or even 0, but it can't be anything greater than 0. So y is less than or equal to 0, or it's at least 2. So anything above 2 or 2. So it's y is greater than or equal to 2. So our two inequalities here would be y is less than or equal to 0, and then y is greater than or equal to 2. And each one is graphed on the number line, on the same number line. And the whole thing is a compound inequality. But since they do not intersect, there is no region where these two lines overlap. This is just going to be an or situation. Now, when we get to solving these inequalities, let's first start with this, solving this inequality over here. As you can clearly see, it doesn't have an or in between. It's not two separate inequalities with an or in between. It's just this whole thing is combined together, which would mean it's an and situation. So when it's like this, you just split the inequality apart and you write it like this. And then you'd write and x minus 2 is less than 3. So then when you solve this, it's just going to be, first you'll solve the green part, which would mean -2 is less than x, and x is less than 5. Now, since it's an and situation, we'll just put this in one big inequality, which would be -2 less than x less than 5. We're just combining these two inequalities. Another example of solving an inequality, here we have an OR situation. And in this OR situation, what you do is solve each inequality individually. So I'm going to label this the green inequality, and this is going to be the red inequality. First, we'll start with the green inequality. 3y minus 5, oh, that's not green. 3y minus 5 is less than -8. So then we just solve it like normal. Y is less than -1. Now to solve the red one, you have 2y minus 1 greater than 5. 2y greater than 6. Y is greater than 3. And then since it's an OR situation, when you write these together, you just write y is less than -1 or y is greater than 3. That's going to be it for today's video. If you need more practice, obviously go to this book called Big Ideas Math and go for the Algebra 1 textbook. I don't think I've mentioned this in my previous videos, but this textbook is where I get all my lesson content from, and this is a great book for practice. They'll have these things called exercises for each lesson. Just click on them and just do them through. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me and just keep practicing. Thank you. Bye.